the center of all love I stand, and from that center I, the soul, will outward move. From that center I, the one who serves, will work. May the love of the divine self be shed abroad in my heart, through my group and throughout the world. May the love of the divine self be shed abroad in my heart, through my group and throughout
Good evening, everyone. This is Michael, and welcome to our meditation on attracting financial resources for the work of the hierarchy and for the reappearance of the Christ. DK tells us, he says, I beg you to shoulder your responsibility in distributing the great invocation on as large a scale as possible in every country. It is of great potency, and when used by men of all faiths, can aid in the process of averting war. He also asks us to distribute as widely as possible his book, The Problems of Humanity, and there have been some reformulations of that book, taking in problems which have become acute since the time that this was written, and I suppose the environmental problem is one of the major difficulties. He warns us, all this will require sacrifice, for it calls for the expenditure of money, and even the hierarchy works through normal channels and needs money. And, of course, this is what so many Orthodox people resist. Even the Christ has need of financial resources in order to reach the needy sons of men. So I ask for your aid and await your decision. The financial trusteeship required here is closely tied up with the problem of right human relations. I'd like to read a little bit here from continuing in the book The Reappearance of the Christ, in that section that deals with our inertia, and I suppose the inertia of many with regard to this problem of gathering the necessary financial resources. We also have to remember the 5 prerequisites for workers in this area: that they have courage, that they give as they can, that the service of the one humanity is the great motivating factor, that they present the case carefully, so that people will be encouraged to listen and not simply to reject the whole prospect as fanciful, and then finally to have a vital and sure belief in humanity as a whole. He goes on here on page 180. He says, there is naught to add in the way of an appeal for funds, courage, or understanding, if the courage of the Christ, as he faces return to this physical outer world, if the need of humanity for right human relations and the sacrificing work of the disciples of the Christ are not enough to fire you and to energize you and those whom you can reach, there is nothing that can be said which will be of any use. So those are strong words. Think of it, the courage of the Christ. We don't usually put things in those terms. We imagine it's just in his nature to return, and that there is no, as the Tibetan describes, no horror in the apprehension of what he must face. He simply comes then as the all-conquering Christ, and there's no problem. He just overwhelms the enemy. However, that is not the true picture. He goes on to say, we have considered the need of preparation for the coming of the Christ and some basic requirements which will arise as people brace themselves for the needed opportunity, including the raising of the necessary finances to carry forth the preparatory work. You know, he tells us that really this may well be the crux of the whole problem. The ability to sacrifice sufficiently to raise the needed resources so this can be accomplished. Going on, the individual worker has first of all to decide if his incentive and spiritual expectancy is adequate to the task ahead. Only that is of importance which provides a needed momentum for action. So in fact, you know, anyone that we speak to individually or through our groups, they need to be inspired. And their ability to move forward must be stimulated so that they can sustain a needed momentum in the face of many obstructions which have appeared and will necessarily appear. He must discover that it is possible for him to play his part in the furthering of the divine plan. The fact of Christ and the genuine possibility of his reappearance must become important factors in his consciousness. I guess when we use the phrase, "I have no other life intention," it certainly signals that the reappearance has become a very important motivating factor in our consciousness. Going on, he looks around for those with whom he may work and who have the same spiritual objectives as he has. In this way and in due time, he finds that there exists on earth a well-organized and integrated group to which can be given the name of the new group of world servers. He finds that they are everywhere and are functioning in every country and in all the organized religious groups and all other groups dedicated to the well-being of humanity and preparing the way for the return of the Christ. Well, you know how it goes. Forgetting the things which lie behind, I will strive towards my higher spiritual possibilities. I dedicate myself anew to the service of the coming one and will do all I can to prepare men's minds and hearts for that event. I have no other life intention. I think that, gives us plenty to think about. It's, of all the things the Tibetan has given us, he's given us so much teaching, as stated, more than we can ever absorb. These two factors, the founding of the new group of world servers and the externalization and reappearance, these are the most important to be brought before humanity. The most important. So it really tests our sense of values as we do everything we can individually and in our groups to prepare for the great conclave of 2025 and for, no doubt what will be quite a turbulent century, the 21st century, as we lead up to the point when the age of Aquarius will really begin. So we will resume in another week for a morning session, and it will be on Sunday the 13th. Resume on Sunday, September 13th, and morning session. Meanwhile, our sense of values is the great test. We are tested regarding our sense of values. And this is, I think, the most important planetary event having to do with the emergence of the great second-ray soul of our planet, bringing, finally, love wisdom into greater balance and even authority over the third-rate personality of our Earth. All right, then. I think we can go on with our work. And our meditation. So certain realizations to come into focus. We realize that to those who give shall be given, so that they can give again. And we pause there, are we one of those? Giving what we can. And does the return flow occur so that we can give and give again? In fact, as the Masters well know, to those who give all, who sacrifice all is given. So we keep pouring forth that which is of value, money, time, our ongoing attention to the most important factors operative now at this crisis point, this point of initiation on our planet. And in a spirit of alignment and personality quietness, we seek to answer in our own words the following questions. It's not only what DK has said, it's what we think. So, if money is one of the most important things needed today for spiritual work, what is the factor which is at present deflecting it away from the work of the hierarchy? If only humanity would learn to put first things first and seek for the expression of the essential. What is my personal attitude towards money? Am I handling it in the right way? Do I regard it as a great and possible spiritual asset? Or do I think of it in material terms? What is my personal responsibility in regard to money which passes through my hands? Am I handling it as a disciple of the Masters should handle it? There is a great glamour which hovers over humanity. It's the, as it were, second head of the Hydra, the wrong use of money, and we are all Hercules. And if we studied ourselves honestly, would we see whether this Hydra head has any power over us? And if so, in what way? If we are in the grips of this head of the Hydra, then a number of weaknesses will emerge. And so how would we suggest to ourselves that we overcome the power of this glamour? And in connection, I think, with every one of the 7 ashrams, there is a proper way to spend so that some aspect of the divine plan comes closer to manifestation. Now we ponder on the redemption of humanity through the right use of money. And we visualize money in the world today as concretized energy, at present largely used for purely material purposes and for the satisfaction, where the individual is concerned, of purely personal desire. But then we can also visualize money as a great stream of flowing golden substance passing out of the control of the forces of materialism and into the control of the forces of light. And then we say this invocative prayer which we have been using, invoking as we do Sanat Kumara and the planetary logos. We say it with focused mental concentration and from a heartfelt desire to meet spiritual demands. O thou, in whom we live and move and have our being. The power that can make all things new. Turn to spiritual purposes the money in the world. Touch the hearts of men everywhere, so that they may give to the work of the hierarchy that which has hitherto been given to material satisfaction. The new group of world servers needs money in large quantities. I ask that the needed vast sums be made available. May this potent energy of thine be in the hands of the forces of light. And then I visualize the work to be done by those groups which claim your present allegiance. Any group which you know is attempting to carry out the hierarchical plan. And through the creative imagination and by an act of the will, see untold and unlimited sums of money pouring into the hands of those who seek to do the Master's work. And then we say aloud and with conviction and emphasis, He for whom the whole world waits has said that whatsoever shall be asked in his name, and with faith in the response, will see it accomplished. And we remember that faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. And so we ask the needed money for whatever group or project that we have in mind as helping to carry out the divine plan. I ask the needed money for, and we fill that in. I ask the needed money for, and I can demand it, because from the center, which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. And in our creative imagination, we prepare to give our offering to the Christ. Gathered together at the feet of the Avatar of Love, we prepare to give him and his hierarchy even the little that we can to help bring the plan to fruition. And then we say together, sensing the presence of the Christ, we have gathered in your name, Lord Maitreya, be with us. And in our imagination we offer him the money we have designated or saved or feel we somehow must give. That money we give to him and his hierarchy. We close with a careful consideration of our ongoing responsibility to the divine plan, we think of how we will continue our weekly financial cooperation or whatever unit of time, any regular unit of time that we can offer as the times when we will give. And we must be practical and realistic and know that if we do not give, we may not ask, for we have no right to evoke that which we do not share. We attempt to feel true love sweeping through us. And we have the fixed intention to express this love to all whom we may contact. It is the great, attractive, and selfless agent in world affairs. So everywhere we turn, we seek to serve as that service is needed and according to the gifts that we may have to offer. And we try indeed to save for the Christ, so we can truly offer him what we can, and thus facilitate his emergence into the consciousness of humanity. We sound the Om 3 times, precipitating love-wisdom into the worlds of the threefold personality. And that is, of course, the personality of humanity, not just our own. want to thank you, Tuya and I, and the whole communications group for being with us and meditating internally to help improve the human condition, which drastically needs improvement at this time. We'll be back with you on Wednesday, and meanwhile I'm trying to provide for you some programs that help us go into cosmic fire and into the sense of being and into the sense of how to dissipate glamour. And also some of the books so that we can really apply ourselves. There's no substitute for reading with care, with attention, the words of the Tibetan. There's so much to be learned in preparation for the next outpouring by that great teacher. So we'll close with a piece from the Reappearance of the Christ Oratorio. And it's all about asking who really is the Christ? Who is He for whom the world waits and on whose behalf we work so hard?
was permitted to embody for humanity the principle of love, the cosmic principle of love. Who is he